Now I've been tasked with reviewing Tsb Sneakers Bot, and this is going to be a 100% transparent, my exact thoughts on this bot. I'm going to use it, review it, tell you things that I like, tell you things that I don't like, all in today's review. We're going to go over what site it covers, what it looks like, how you can use it, and overall, is it worth buying? So without further ado, let's actually show you what TSB looks like. So here we are. This is TSB. Now, as you can see, this is a GUI standing for Graphic User Interface. This means it's a lot easier to navigate, a lot easier to use, and overall a lot more beginner friendly. So the one thing I usually don't like with graphic user interfaces is the fact that it does take up a lot of CPU usage and is not sometimes as responsive as a CLI bot. But after testing TSB, it did actually surprise me. I was able to run hundreds of tasks, sometimes even thousands of tasks, and not notice any difference on my CPU usage. It was roughly the same as a normal CLI bot, so I could actually run still hundreds and thousands of tasks. And then even the graphic user interface, just browsing, changing between tasks and profiles and settings and so on, was very, very mechanically quick. So that was my first worry, but I was pleasantly quite shocked to see that it was very, very good. So now we've actually looked at the user interface, let's look at TSB's success. The most important thing, if this bot is not copying, then what's the point of buying? First of all, let's look at some members' success. And now again, I was pleasantly pleased to see some people are hitting quite a lot at the moment, whether this be through the Nike module, Shopify, or Popmart. They are doing very, very well overall across all platforms. If you're new to botting, what a bot essentially is an automated software. What you do manually, the bot will replicate, but do this 10 times, 1,000 times quicker, and you're able to run multiple tasks at once. So instead of you clicking on your phone, adding to cart, buying out, checking out, that might take you 30 seconds. The bot will do it in a couple seconds or instantly. Imagine 1,000 people trying to go for this all manually. The bot is doing that for you, so it's going to really increase your chances, maximize your opportunity, and that's how you can actually get multiple of limited edition items, whether this is sneakers, collectibles, and so on. Now they're a full team of full-time developers, so these sites do change almost every single day, and these developers are pushing updates to make sure they meet the changes within their website, so the bot is always working and always constantly optimizing their solutions to bring the maximum chances for their members. This is very important, as I mentioned before, because these sites do try and fight against bot every single day. So again, that's another plus for TSB. So now let's break down what sites they actually do support. You have Nike, you have Shopify, and you have Popmart. Now let's start off with Nike. Now Nike, as you know, are the leaders in terms of the sneaker industry, creating some very limited sneakers that are also very hard to get as a manual user. But what's great about this module is they have Nike and they do also have sneakers. So whether it's a 15-minute draw, a 3-minute draw, or even first come first serve, TSB has you covered. TSB allows you to import all of your accounts. So if you want to make multiple accounts, you import them into TSB and they will enter them for you and check out for you. So instead of you just manually copying one account, you can create multiple accounts, 10, 20, 30, 100, even 500 if you wanted to, and you can get TSB to enter them for you, and then you will use proxies to make sure of different IP address, which will increase your chances of copying. So that is very good because Nike do range. Sometimes they'll restock a random item and it's first come first serve. TSB cover that, but most of the time for these draw releases, like a Travis Scott for example, it will be a 15-minute draw which you can enter your accounts into TSB and they will enter them, therefore increasing your chances. Now what's great about Nike is obviously because they make the shoe, they're also going to have the most amount of stock, so your best chances are coming from there. But after using and testing TSB, my personal favorite was the humanized module. This is a browser humanized module. Essentially you can have request or browser. Request, you have to enter a lot of accounts to get success, but browser essentially will enter it as a human. You will actually see the browser pop up, enter the information of your Nike account and enter into that draw. Now the humanized browser has a lot better success than a request module. This is because it is replicating what a human does and therefore does not flag any anti-bot from Nike. So this means your task to success ratio is a lot higher, meaning you don't have to enter as many accounts and you still get very, very good success. There are people running only 10, 20, 30 accounts and getting consistent success on hyped releases such as Travis Scott's. This is actually a fairly new module they have introduced, and I've had quite a bit of success copying 8 Kobe's in one single release, all from these humanized browser modules. So it's something I would recommend looking into. Now, just a quite important update to this video that I was just about to post, and then I found out that TSB are also adding Pokemon Center. Now if you don't know, you can make a lot of money off Pokemon reselling, as Pokemon Center are the only place that has these stamped ETB products. These are retailing for £50 and selling for way over 100. So another site we can add to TSB. Now let's move on to Shopify. Shopify. Now, Shopify is the leading platform for e-commerce brands to host their website on. Essentially, this is what they put their stock on. So not all brands are Shopify, but a lot of them are. So Supreme and Palace, for example, are Shopify. So any site that is Shopify, TSB now supports that you can bot them. This is very handy because a lot of smaller retailers that aren't Nike, for example, will just use Shopify to launch their stock. As I mentioned before, skate shops, Supreme, Palace, all of these different sites, even a load of Pokemon sites are actually hosted on Shopify, and that means you can use TSB to cop for them. And it works in the exact same way. Every task you make is the same as someone actually manually putting in the information, but the bot will do it faster, therefore optimizing your chances. So if you've ever struggled to cop on places like Supreme and Palace because they go out of stock really quickly, this is because of the botters, because the bot is so much more quicker than a human. I had a little test of this Shopify module that I'll put up on screen, and I had no flaws at all. Straight through to checkout, and it purchased with no problems. And finally, Shopify is really handy just to have a bot for Shopify because there are so many different retailers that use it, and it will just cover all of them. And finally, their most newest module is Popmart. Now, if you don't know, Popmart are the producers of Labubus, which you're seeing right here. Now, Labubus have made me thousands of profit just in the last month. These are going crazy. As scary as they do look, this retails for £17.50 and resells for £45 each one. That's over doubling your money. And because of this stupid high demand for this fluffy little toy, they are so hard to get for retail. In fact, if you want to cop for retail consistently and cop multiple, you need to be botting. And TSB have recently opened up their new module for Popmart. You'll never have much luck going for these on your phone or your computer manually because they sell out so fast. The website has so much traffic, so it starts getting slow, you start getting errors, you start getting banned. Whereas when you're using a bot, it's using different proxies, it's managing the high traffic situations and fighting the anti-bot that they do use. So you can run 50, 100, 1,000 tasks if you wanted to, if you want to set up for that. Now, obviously your running costs will be a little bit more the more you actually run, such as your proxies, but your proxies will never cost you more than £30 to £50 a month maximum. So yeah, basically their module allows you to automate this process that you do manually and overall optimize your chances, whether you're looking to make profit or whether you're looking to be a collector. It's going to sort you out. I mean, I've made a lot of money off these recently. So that is all the sites covered. Now, what's actually my opinion? Now, there are other bots out there. However, I actually had great fun using TSB. The graphic user interface was easy to manage and easy to look around, and I loved how mechanically quick it was. When setting up the tasks, it really wasn't that hard, and if I ever had any problems, I could just ask the question in TSB and they would sort me out. So overall, I'm definitely giving it a thumbs up for this bot, and I will continue using this bot as much as I can because at the end of the day, I want to secure as much as I can. Now, I do have to preface that this video is sponsored by TSB. What they did say though is make sure it's one honest review, and I will only post about this sort of stuff if I'm happy to and if I find success using this bot, and I believe you can get good success using this bot. I've worked with them for a while now and overall have no complaints. That has been my overall review of TSB, and I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.